Whether you realize it or not, you already have a personal brand out there. If I Google you and nothing shows up, that's your personal brand. If I find an old LinkedIn page you haven't touched in years or some random social post scattered everywhere, that's your personal brand. In other words, your personal brand is already in existence everywhere or nowhere. The only question is, are you the one shaping it, or are you letting chance, algorithms, or old mistakes define it for you? In this video, we're going to go deep on personal branding, how to do it, what it is, and why it matters. So if that sounds good to you, stick around. So why should you listen to me about this topic? Well, I've built a personal brand on YouTube that's grown to over 50,000 subscribers at the time of this recording in the past 15 months and generated multi-six figures for my business through YouTube. I've also helped hundreds of creators and entrepreneurs do this exact same thing inside my program. So I don't just teach personal branding, I live it every single day. Now, your personal brand is your reputation at scale. It's the associations people make the second they hear your name, see your face, or scroll past your profile. And here's what most people miss. You don't need millions of followers to be successful. You just need to be known, trusted, and remembered by the right people. In this day and age, opportunities don't flow to resumes or cold emails. They flow to people with a strong personal brand. That's how jobs get offered before they're even posted on job boards. That's how entrepreneurs attract clients without having to chase them. That's how creators get partnerships, collaboration, and growth that compounds year after year after year. Ignore personal branding and you'll spend more time explaining who you are than actually receiving opportunities at your doorstep. So in this full course, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to build a personal brand that you can feel proud of, what it really is and why it matters. And I'm going to give you a step-by-step system you can use to build yours from scratch or clean it up if you already have a reputation out there that's gotten a little messy along the way. So stick with me for the next 40 minutes or so, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to take control of the story people tell about you. So in today's world, your personal brand is either an asset that opens doors for you or a liability that quietly shuts them on you. It's what determines whether people trust you, remember you, and want to work with you, or whether they move on without a second thought. Think about this. Logan Paul is a YouTuber who first rose to fame on Vine and then built millions of subscribers on YouTube. His brand was nearly destroyed in 2017 after a major controversy. But instead of disappearing, he rebuilt by moving into boxing, WWE, I think UFC, and eventually co-founded Prime Hydration with fellow creator KSI. Prime exploded into $1 billion brand because Logan already had massive attraction. And his story shows that even if your brand gets tainted, it can be rebuilt, and that influence paired with the right product is incredibly powerful. Or take Mr. Beast. We all know Mr. Beast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, is now the most watched creator on YouTube. He's famous for giant challenges and giveaways, but his real genius is in how he leveraged trust. When he launched Feastables, his chocolate company, and later Mr. Beast Burgers, fans didn't hesitate to buy because his personal brand had already earned loyalty. His example proves that when people trust your brand, distribution becomes effortless. Alex Hormozi, another great example, built his personal brand by documenting how he scaled and sold companies for tens of millions of dollars. His long-form YouTube videos, podcasts, and his book, 100 Million Offers, positioned him as a trusted authority in business. When he launched his new ventures, from software to education, people jumped in immediately because his brand carried credibility. He shows how sharing your expertise consistently can make you the go-to in your space. That's the power of a personal brand. When traffic and trust collide, the opportunities and the rewards become massive. Okay, so now let's talk about the 3 factors of brand power. Here's how you measure a brand's strength. Influence. Does seeing your name or face actually change someone's behavior? Do people click, buy, or listen because it's you? Directionality. Do they move towards you or away from you? Even polarizing brands have power because they move people. Reach. How many people actually know you exist? That's important too. The closer you get to maximizing all of these 3 things, influence, direction, reach, the more unstoppable your brand becomes. And another thing to consider is, what do you and your personal brand stand for or against? To get clarity on this, ask yourself, what do you want your brand to represent? And just as important, What do you want your brand not to represent? For example, maybe you want your brand to represent clarity, honesty, and practical advice, not hype or empty promises. Or maybe you want your brand to stand for creativity and innovation, but you don't want to be seen as scattered or inconsistent. Or if you're in fitness, you might want your brand to represent discipline, balance, and long-term health, but not quick fixes, gimmicks, or toxic body culture. And if you're in business, maybe you want to be known for strategy and results, not sleazy sales tactics or chasing trends. And here's something Caleb Ralston teaches that I think is brilliant, and most people overlook it. Who you collaborate with matters as well. Don't partner with scammers or people your audience doesn't trust just for exposure, because trust is your most valuable currency. I want to say that again. Trust is your most valuable currency. One wrong association can damage what took you years to build. For example, imagine you run a channel all about organic living and sustainability. If you suddenly collaborate with a company known for heavy plastic waste or questionable farming practices, your audience is going to notice. And even if that brand paid you a lot, it would cost you something much more valuable, your credibility. So be intentional with who you collaborate with. Ask yourself, will this make my audience trust me more or less? And go with it if it is more, not less. Okay. The next thing you want to consider is this concept called owning the gap. Another reason branding is essential is it lets you own the gap in a certain space. So every industry has holes. There's something missing that no one else is filling, and that's where your brand belongs. In order to determine this, you want to ask yourself, what do I see that others don't? That's your catalyst, right? What do I believe that others don't? That's your core truth. And how do you reinforce that belief every single day with your brand? That's your proof. When you combine those three, you create a brand story that stands out without being controversial for the sake of it, right? For me, here's what that looks like. Catalyst, what I see that others don't see. I see potential in people that they often can't see in themselves. I see that YouTube isn't just about numbers, it's about people showing up authentically and sharing their gifts with the world. The core truth, then, is what I believe that others don't. I believe you can grow a channel and business built on authenticity and a strong desire to help others and make a positive impact on the world. You don't need to fake it to make it. You don't need to be someone you're not. In fact, the more real you are, the more magnetic your brand becomes. Then the proof is how I reinforce it every day. I live by this. Showing up daily, pushing myself to new heights, and sharing that journey openly. I am authentic and transparent with my audience. I want my audience and my clients to see me not just teaching these principles, but living by them, so they know they can rise to their own potential as well. And that's the point. People don't just connect with polished strategies. They connect with the person behind them. It's not enough to preach authenticity. You have to live it. And part of living it is being willing to show the whole picture, not just the highlight reel, right? Which leads me to the next point. Show your human side, your relatability. People trust people, not the highlight reel. They don't want to see a robot on YouTube. Imagine following someone online who never seems to make a mistake. Their life looks perfect. Their business is always flawless. At first, it might inspire you, but over time, it starts to feel unreachable, unobtainable for you. So instead of motivating you, it leaves you actually thinking, I could never be like them. I could never do that. And when something feels unobtainable, you stop relating to that person or that brand. You tune it out. And that's why the most magnetic brands aren't the ones that only share wins. They're the ones that also share the losses, the lessons, and the messy middle. When you own your failure publicly, you remove skepticism, you build credibility, and you show that you're human. And that humanity is what keeps people connected to you long term. And here's where it gets really, really interesting. Being human, being intentional, being consistent, it all ties back to the bigger picture, because personal branding isn't just a nice to have anymore, right? It's the foundation of how opportunities flow in the modern world. So that's why it's so important to build your personal brand. A personal brand is not optional. It's the difference between people chasing you or you chasing them, between opportunities finding you or passing you by. Think about it. Employers are Googling you before they even read your resume. Clients are checking your socials before they ever book a call with you. Collaborators are judging whether to say yes or no based on how your reputation makes them feel. If you don't shape that story, it will be shaped for you by algorithms, by old posts, or by silence. And silence is a story too. So ask yourself, do you want to be the person who's remembered, trusted, and top of mind when the next opportunity comes up, or the person who gets passed over because your brand didn't speak up for itself? Because in this digital age, if you're not actively building your personal brand, you're falling behind. So the real question then is this: if your personal brand is this powerful, what are the actual pieces that make it up? What are the building blocks you need in place to create a brand that lasts? Let's break that down now. So, core elements of a personal brand. I like to break it down into 6 core elements. Number 1, identity, the niche of you. This is who you are, what you stand for, and what you want to be known for. But here's where it gets practical. Your identity becomes the filter for every decision you make, what videos you create, who you collaborate with, even what offers you sell. If it doesn't line up with your brand identity, it doesn't belong in your business. Simple as that. Think of it like this: every time you put something out into the world, you're either depositing it into your brand's bank account or you're taking a withdrawal. A deposit is when you post something that matches your value and reinforces what you want to be known for. A withdrawal is when you put out something that's confusing, off-brand, or that associates you with the wrong people. Too many withdrawals and your account goes negative. For example, if your channel is about health and wellness, your identity might be balanced and sustainability. So when a supplement company offers you a sponsorship, you ask yourself, does this align with my identity? Or does it look like a quick fix gimmick? That filter will save you from damaging your brand. Okay, so here's a mini exercise for you to kind of determine this. Number 1, grab a pen and paper or open a note app and do this right now. Write down 3 to 5 things you want your brand to represent. For example, balance, creativity, integrity, sustainability, empowerment, motivation, inspiration, whatever it is. Next, I want you to write down 3 to 5 things you do not want to be associated with, right? Gimmicks, hype, dishonesty, quick fixes, shallow content, those types of things. So now you have this filter. This becomes your brand filter. Anytime you're unsure about your decision, hold it up against these 2 lists. If it matches the first list, it's a deposit. If it falls into the second list, it's a withdrawal. The clearer you get on your identity, the easier every decision becomes, because you're no longer asking, should I do this? You're asking, does this match who I am and what I stand for? Okay, so that's identity. So number 2 is values and vision, which is your compass. If your identity is the filter, then your values and vision are the compass. They point you forward and keep you aligned when things get tough. Your values are non-negotiable. The principles you won't trade, even when money or attention is on the line. They're what makes people trust you, because consistency builds credibility. Your vision is the big picture. It's the why behind your work. A strong personal brand isn't just about who you are today. It's about where you're going and inviting others to come along with you. For example, let's say your identity, again, is about balance and sustainability. Your values might be integrity, transparency, and community. Your vision might be helping 1 million people live healthier lives without burnout. So the identity says, I won't do gimmicky partnerships. The value says, because I believe in honesty and long-term health. And the vision says, because I'm working towards a bigger future where more people can live this way. When you tie those 3 together, your brand doesn't just feel consistent, it feels unshakable. So here's a mini exercise for you to determine your value and vision. Take a moment to do this right now. Write down your top 3 values, the principles you refuse to compromise on, such as creativity, integrity, generosity. Now, write 1 vision statement for your brand. Imagine it's 5 years from now. What impact have you created? What future are you inviting people into? This gives you a compass you can always come back to when decisions get messy or overwhelming. You can ask, does this align with my values? Does this move me closer to my vision that I've created for my brand? Okay, so that's vision and values. Now let's move on to step number 3, audience. It's not about you. This isn't vanity branding. This is service branding. Your personal brand might start with you, your identity, your values, and your vision, but it doesn't end with you. The truth is your brand is not about you at all. It's about the people you serve. The strongest brands are not built by shouting, "Look at me." They're built by asking, "How can I help you?" Who are the people you can help the most? What problems do they face? What information do you want to create in their lives? Think of it this way. Your audience is not just a group of followers, clients, or viewers. They're people with real problems, real goals, and real lives. And your brand becomes powerful when you position yourself as the guide that can help them to get where they want to go. For example, if your channel is about financial freedom, your audience isn't everyone who wants money. That's too vague. Your audience might be millennials stuck in debt who want to break free from credit cards. Do you see how when you know exactly who you're talking to, your content becomes laser focused? Okay, so let's give you a mini exercise for this section. Grab a notebook and answer these 3 questions. Who exactly do you want to help? Be specific about their age range, life stage, goals, etc. Busy moms in their 40s who want to start a YouTube channel, or something else. What's their biggest struggle right now? Write down one problem that keeps them up at night. For example, they don't feel like they have any time to commit to creating content. And what transformation do you want to create for them? What will their life look like after? In other words, what will their life look like after working with you, watching your content, or being part of your brand? An example of this would be they'll feel confident, consistent, and they'll see growth on their channel as a result of watching my personal brand. When you can answer those 3 questions, you stop creating for everyone and start creating for someone. And that's the difference between a forgettable brand and one people feel deeply connected to. Okay, so now you know your identity, your values and visions, and the audience you serve. The next step is how you actually communicate that to the world through your messaging and your story, which takes us to step number 4, messaging and storytelling. Messaging is how you say what you do, and storytelling is how you make people feel and ultimately care. Here's the mistake a lot of people make. They think their brand story has to be one big dramatic moment, like a movie climax. But the truth is, your brand story is built through little moments you share consistently over time. The way you talk about what you do, the lessons you share, the behind the scenes, the glimpses, the failures you admit, and the growth you celebrate. All of these micro stories stack up to create a bigger narrative about who you are and why people should trust you. And the key to storytelling is relatability. Think of it like this. Data informs the mind, but stories move the heart. When you tell me what you do, I might understand it. But when you tell me why it matters and how it changed you, I feel connected to you. That connection is what keeps people coming back, because they don't just want information, they want transformation. So I want to share a storytelling framework with you. I also have other videos about storytelling on my channel if you want to check those out. However, every story you tell can follow a simple rhythm. Hook, you grab attention with a bold statement, question, or relatable problem. Then you state the problem. Describe the challenge you or your audience is faced with. Then you take them on a journey. So you share what happened, the emotions, the process, what happened, what you went through, all of those things. Then comes the lesson. Explain what you learned from that experience. And then, this part's very important, that you need to create a bridge. The bridge, it shows how it ties into your brand or your audience's transformation. So for example, instead of just saying consistency is key on YouTube, I might tell you the story of how when I started my YouTube channel, I was uploading 3 videos a week with 3 kids at home. I had no time. I just did it when they were eating or when they were sleeping or stayed up late editing, and I got monetized in just 10 weeks. That lesson sticks more because it's wrapped into a story. Okay, and another thing that's really important with storytelling and building this brand is adding in your uniqueness. Your story isn't just about the big wins or the failures, like I said already, it's also the little details that make you, you. For example, I don't call my husband hubby, baby, boo, or anything like that. I call him the Viking because to me, he's a warrior. He's the most powerful man in my life, my protector and my partner for life. That tiny detail says a lot about me. It says 1, that I'm married, 2, that I value strength, both physically and emotionally, and that I admire toughness, boldness, and resilience. It also shows that I'm loyal and it shares a playful side of my personality. So do you see how that works? Just one personal detail communicates value, personality, and uniqueness all at once. Your brand becomes stronger because people feel like they know you beyond the business advice. They get to see behind the scenes, what you're really like in real life. So I want to give you a mini exercise here to help you figure this out. What is your uniqueness? So I want you to take 5 minutes and do this right now. Write down one story you could share this week using the 5-part framework, the hook, problem, journey, lesson, bridge. Then write down 3 quirks or personal details that say something about who you are. These can be woven into your stories naturally to make your brand more human and more memorable. Okay, when you get your messaging and storytelling right, people don't just hear your words, they feel your brand. And once people feel connected, they'll remember you. But connection only works if people actually see you. So the next step is making sure you show up consistently in the right places where your audience is. Visibility is important, and that's what we're going to talk about now. 5, visibility and consistency. Your brand only exists if people see it. A powerful story doesn't matter if no one ever watches it. Visibility is the bridge between who you are and who knows that you exist. Because no one remembers that person who only shows up once. They remember the one who shows up again and again and again and again. That's what consistency is. It's how you train your audience to trust you because you are there time and time again. Visibility means choosing the right places to show up. Not every platform, not everywhere, all the time, the right platform for you and your audience. For example, if your brand is B2B or career focused, LinkedIn might be your home base. If you're a creator or educator, YouTube is unmatched for long-term discovery. If you're more visual and lifestyle driven, Instagram might be your fit. The key is to pick one primary platform where you'll plant your flag and then add one secondary platform to amplify your reach when ready. Okay, the second part of this is consistency. Consistency is about rhythm. It's not just about how often you post, but the standard you set when you post. Here's the mistake. People overthink quality. They sit on a video for weeks, second guessing if it's good enough, but your audience decides what's valuable, not you. So stop guessing. Let your audience tell you what quality is by putting that content out there for them to decide. Volume content teaches you what resonates. Then once you know, you double down on quality. So here's a practical tip for you. Think of your content as deposits into your bank account. Remember your brand bank account. Every video, post, or story is a deposit. The more consistently you deposit, the faster the trust grows. And here's something to keep in mind. Algorithms reward consistency because it signals reliability. But more importantly, people reward consistency because it builds trust. So here's a mini exercise for you for this section. Write down your primary platform, the one place that you want to show up consistently on. Then write down your secondary platform, the place where you want to help amplify or repurpose content from your first primary platform. And then decide on your minimum cadence for the next 90 days. For example, 1 YouTube video per week and 3 Instagram posts repurposed from that video. And this is your visibility blueprint. Keep it simple, keep it sustainable, and remember, this is not the person with the best idea who wins. It's the person who shows up the most consistently over time wins. And when you layer consistency on top of visibility, your reputation starts to compound. People don't just stumble across you once, they see you often. They can't forget you. But consistency and visibility only matter if they add up to one thing: proof. In the next section, we'll talk about how to turn all of this effort into credibility that makes people trust you. Okay, so let's move on to reputation and proof. At the end of the day, your personal brand is your reputation. It's not what you say about yourself, it's what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And reputation is built on one thing: proof. And why does proof matter? Because we live in a very skeptical world. People don't just take your word for it anymore. They want evidence. They want to see that you can do what you say you can do. Proof answers the unspoken question your audience is always asking, and that is, why should I trust you? Without proof, your brand is just talk. With proof, your brand becomes credible. And there's a few different ways that you can provide the proof. So here's some types of proof. You can build it with results. So you can share your own wins or your clients' or customer wins. For example, I share on my channel all the time how I make consistently 10 to 20K months on YouTube without going viral. But I also share the transformations I've seen with my clients through my program, and that's also proof that this system doesn't only just work for me, it works for other people. Another form of proof is consistency. Showing up over time is proof in itself that you have credibility. If you've posted weekly for a year, people know you're reliable. And then there's social proof, testimonials, reviews, case studies. These aren't bragging, they're credibility markers that make people feel safe investing their time or money with you. Another form of proof is associations. Who you stand next to matters. Remember, collaborating with respected people or being featured in trusted places, even being associated with a certain standard of quality, all of these add to your reputation. Another one is transparency. Owning your mistakes or being honest when something doesn't work out is proof too. It proves that you value trust more than your image and that you stand by your word. The flip side of this, though, is how reputation gets damaged. On the other hand, one wrong association or broken promise can undo years of trust very fast. Partnering with a brand that goes against your values, making claims you can't back up, acting one way on camera and another way behind the scenes, that's why reputation has to be guarded like your most valuable asset, because it is. It takes years to build, but moments to destroy. For a quick example, imagine a creator who preaches sustainability, but then takes a sponsorship with a fast fashion brand. Even if they make a lot of money short term, they've made a massive withdrawal from their brand's trust account. So here's a mini exercise for you now. Take 5 minutes and write down the following 3 ways you can show proof right now from your business. Examples: share a client win, post a before and after, show your own results, highlight a consistent streak, whatever it is. Then I want you to do 1 potential brand risk you need to avoid. For example, don't promote tools I don't actually use, or don't take on partnerships that contradict my values that I preach in my personal brand. So this keeps you building credibility while protecting your reputation long term. Because at the end of the day, your reputation is your personal brand. You can't buy it, you can't fake it, and you can't shortcut it. You need to build it brick by brick, decision by decision, proof by proof. And when you put all of these 6 elements together that we've talked about: identity, values and vision, audience, messaging and storytelling, visibility, and proof, you've got the foundation of a brand that doesn't just exist online, but lasts. And here's the exciting part. Once you know the pieces, you can actually build it. In the next section, I'll walk you through a step-by-step process to create your personal brand from scratch, or clean it up if you need to. Clean up your reputation if it needs a reset. But let's get to that now. So, building or fixing your personal brand. Now that you understand the core elements that we just talked about, let's get practical. How do you actually build a personal brand from scratch, or clean it up if you need to? Let's break it down into 7 steps. Step number 1, audit yourself. Before you build anything, you need to know where you stand. Google yourself, check your LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and any public profile, and ask yourself, if a stranger looked me up today, what would they think of me and my personal brand? And while you're doing this research of Googling yourself, checking LinkedIn, etc., I want you to have some questions that can guide you while you do this. And that would be, does what I find online reflect who I am or who I want to be? Would I trust this person if I knew nothing about them? Does my profile feel consistent, or is anything online damaging my credibility right now? Old posts, old photos, or content I've outgrown? And lastly, what's missing? If someone wanted to know what I do, would it be obvious to them? That's a really important question to answer while you're doing this research. Okay, and here's a tool tip for you. Use an incognito browser to search yourself so you see what others see. And you can usually access an incognito browser. If you go up to the right corner and you click on the 3 dots and look at the options, there's usually incognito browser there. I would do your search that way, so you see what everyone else sees. Okay, then step 2 of this process is clarify your core. This is where you lock in your values and mission. So instead of theory, make it practical. Some questions to guide you while doing this are, what are 3 values I refuse to compromise on? What's 1 statement that sums up my bigger mission overall? If my brand had to fit on a t-shirt, what would it say? And here's a tool tip for you. Write a one-sentence brand filter and keep it somewhere visible. For example, I help creators build YouTube channels with authenticity and not gimmicks. So every time I see that filter, I know that if something comes my way, it doesn't fit with that little slogan I made for myself, then I say no. Okay, step 3, define your audience. So you want to get specific. Stop saying everyone, I can help everyone, I can help every YouTuber. No, here are some questions to guide you during this process. Who do I want to serve? And be as specific as possible, age, stage, season of life, mindset, etc. And what's the number one problem they're facing right now? Again, what transformation do I want them to experience through my brand or through me and my services? Okay, and a tool tip here is to run a quick survey with Google Forms or Typeform to ask your audience directly if you have one, or scan your YouTube comments and your DMs for recurring main pain points or problems or questions people are having. You probably, if you already have something built up, you probably have a lot of great information already embedded in that platform or wherever you are finding your information. Okay, then step 4 is going to be to craft your brand identity. And this is where you put a face to the name. So think voice, think style, think visuals, think colors, branding, all of that stuff. And some questions to guide you while you're doing this is, if my brand were a person, how would it dress? How would it speak? How would it act? Or what 3 emotions do I want people to feel when they encounter my content? How does your content make them feel? Does it make them feel inspired? Does it make them feel strong? Does it make them feel like they can accomplish anything? Does it make them feel educated and more knowledgeable? What does your brand have? What emotional impact does it have on your viewer? And then ask yourself, do my visuals, my colors, my fonts, my style align with that feeling? So you want to think about, if your brand is all about being strong and lifting weights and you know, drinking protein powders and all of this stuff, you don't want to have perhaps pastel colors on your channel or on your branding. You want it to be tough. You want it to be strong, powerful colors like reds or blacks or golds or something like that, right? Silvers, something like that. You don't want light pink or light yellow or something like that. So you really want to make sure that everything is aligning and that makes sense with the emotion and the appearance aligned together. So a tool tip for this would be to create a simple brand kit in Canva with your logo, colors, and fonts so every piece of content feels cohesive. You can also do a search on Google for brand kits or branding colors or branding schemes, whatever, and just see what comes up. Just go to the image section of Google and see what comes up. See what you resonate with, what you like, and that will start giving you an idea of what maybe your brand colors could be. You can also go on Canva and look up branding kits as well and see lots of ideas and choose ones that you like and start to get a feel again for what you like. You can also go on Pinterest and do this. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You can also go to other people in your niche and look what they're doing on their websites, on their social media pages, everything, to try and get an idea of what branding you would like to embody with your personal brand. Okay, then let's move on to step 5, which is to tell your story. So stories build trust. Instead of focusing on one big moment, like I got a divorce and then my life changed. Instead of that one moment, share the smaller turning points. So the questions to guide you with this section would be, what was one failure that shaped who I am today? What is a moment that proves why I care so deeply about this work? What details about me shows my personality and uniqueness? Remember the Viking example from earlier? What's your version of that Viking example? And a tool tip for you for this section is to keep a running story bank in Notion or Google Docs where you just jot down personal stories as they happen to you so that you can reference them later when you're building your content. Okay, step 6 then is to build your content GPS. Your content is the engine of your brand. Without it, no one sees you. Some questions to guide you for this section is, what 3 content pillars represent my expertise and personality? What cadence can I realistically commit to for 90 days? Which platform will be my home base and which one will be my amplifier? So something to think about is you can use batching to stay consistent. So record multiple YouTube videos in one session or repurpose long form into shorts, posts, and emails later on. Okay, let's move on to step 7. Assemble your support system. You don't need a big team, but you do need support. So some questions to guide you while you're trying to figure out who should support you would be to ask yourself, what tools do I need to stay organized and consistent? For example, Notion, Trello, Asana, Google Docs, Google Sheets, whatever. Or who can I bring into my life to make it easier? Maybe designers, editors, mentors, accountability partners, join memberships, etc. Or who can I learn from to shorten my learning curve? Mentors, coaches, etc. And something to think about is to start simple. Like one accountability partner or one trusted mentor can make the difference between quitting and scaling. So that was how to build a brand, right? Now let's quickly cover if you need to rebuild a tainted brand. So if your reputation feels messy or outdated, own your mistakes instead of hiding them, and flood the internet with new aligned content. That's all you need to do. Just flood the internet with all this new content of your new brand, of who you are striving to be now. And stay consistent until the new associations overwrite the old ones. So those are the 7 steps to building or fixing your personal brand. This is the roadmap you can use to go from random, inconsistent reputation to intentional, powerful presence online. But once you've built it, how do you scale it? How do you keep from having a presence to having real influence and opportunity flowing your way? So that's where we're going to go now. Step number 8, advanced strategies for scaling your personal brand once you've built the foundation. The foundation, again, is your identity, your values, your audience, your story, your visibility, and your proof. So now let's talk advanced strategies for scaling your personal brand once you've built the strong foundation. This is where you go from being known to becoming unforgettable. Here are 4 strategies to take your brand to the next level. Number 1, content quality. In the beginning, you need volume to learn what resonates. But at scale, it's not about pumping out more content. It's about creating content that goes deeper, lasts longer, and positions you as an authority. For example, instead of 10 surface level tip videos, create one ultimate guide that becomes the go-to in your niche. That single piece of content can drive visibility for years. Questions to consider with this is, what's one flagship piece of content I can create that would cement me as an authority in my space? And then we move on to step number 2, which is collaboration and borrowed credibility. So who you associate yourself with is part of your brand, as we've talked about already. At scale, you grow faster by collaborating with others who share your values. This is borrowed credibility. When people see you next to someone they already trust, their trust transfers to you. For example, appearing on a respected podcast, doing a co-hosted live, or even creating a joint product with someone aligned with you will help you to scale and grow your brand faster. A question to ask yourself would be, who are 3 people in my industry I could partner with this year to borrow credibility and expand my reach? Then, step 3 for scaling and building your personal brand out even further is monetization alignment. Your personal brand should open doors to opportunity, but also to income. And the best way to monetize is to align offers with the trust you've built. There are 5 main paths for this: services, like coaching and consulting; products, digital or physical; affiliates and sponsorships; community and memberships. The mistake people make is picking offers that don't align with their brand. Remember, the question is always, will this make my audience trust me more or less? And a question to consider while you're doing this is, which of these monetization paths feels most aligned with my brand right now? And how can I layer in others over time? And if you want to know more about monetization paths that you can take with your social media platform once you've built it up, check out this deep dive video that I have created as well. Okay, step 4 then in this advanced strategy is framework thinking. The most memorable brands don't just share ideas, they create frameworks. Acronyms, step systems, signature methods. Frameworks make your ideas stick and position you as the originator, not just a curator. For example, I teach creators the LEAP method, a clear roadmap for YouTube success. It's not just advice, it's a system people can follow to go from having traction on YouTube to making 5, 10, 50K months with YouTube. So the question you want to consider in this section is, what's a repeatable process or framework that I already use that I could turn into my signature method? And then start to build that out. Okay, so scaling your brand isn't about doing everything bigger, it's about doing the right things deeper. creating flagship content, borrowing credibility through partnerships, aligning monetization with your values, and codifying your ideas into frameworks, systems, signature programs, etc. When you do these, your personal brand stops being just a presence online and becomes a movement people want to join. So we've covered a lot today, and I want to bring it all together in a nice, neat little package. Your personal brand is not optional. It already exists out there. The only question is whether you're shaping it intentionally or letting the internet, old posts, and randomness shape it for you. If this feels like a lot right now, that's okay. You don't have to do everything at once. Just pick one action, one exercise, one question, one small step, and start there. Because personal branding isn't about being perfect from the start. It's about showing up consistently and learning as you go and letting your reputation compound over time. And if you're watching this and thinking, this is way too much, it's too overwhelming, I don't even know where to start, or maybe you're ready to go deeper and want personalized guidance, that's exactly why I created my LEAP mentorship program. Inside LEAP, I walk alongside you step by step to build your YouTube channel, your business, and your personal brand with authenticity and strategy. It's not just information, it's personalized mentoring, accountability, and a system that actually works to get you where you want to go. So if you want to stop guessing and start building a brand that truly represents who you are, check the link in the description below to learn more about the LEAP program. Okay, your personal brand is the one thing you'll carry with you everywhere you go, across jobs, businesses, and platforms. Build it intentionally, protect it fiercely, and let it open doors for you that you never thought possible otherwise. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.